Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks, depending on whatever time frame you guys are based in. I'm based in London, so it is good afternoon from here, and all of us, we are very much focused despite this master class, this special master class on the US non-farm payroll, the major event of this week, but we are very much also focused on the budget, the UK's budget, which is just being delivered right now. So we will have a brief look on that if you guys want me to, and then see how exactly that budget is responding and how markets are really responding to that. But before we do anything else, as always, it is important for me to go through a number of different housekeeping work. And the first question, as always, is if you can see me and if you can hear my screen. Sorry, if you can hear me and if you can see my screen, please say yes or no. All right, okay, great. So big news, another on the UK side. No income tax, national insurance or VAT rates. Threshold for paying basic higher rate tax frozen. So basically everyone will be paying a higher tax. Well, this was very much expected. But anyways, we'll have a deeper look into everything else. All right, okay, so two questions that I'm going to ask you as always. So if you've been trading under 1 year, so please say yes. All right, okay, so I see a lot of people again, which have recently joined this particular venture of trading. And if you have been trading over 2 years, please also say yes. All right, great. So a bit of a mixture between people who have recently joined this trading world and people who already have a lot of experience in this and they wanted to learn more. So that is really, really good. Okay, so in this masterclass, as I've mentioned earlier, so what we will be discussing is that how to trade the US non-farm payroll, because obviously the US non-farm payroll is the main event of this week, and nothing is more important than that. Now, before we continue any further, as always, it is important for me to go through these risk warnings and disclaimer. Anything which will be discussed in this video cannot be perceived as an advice. If you are seeking for one, please do consider consulting with your own financial advisors. The full disclaimer is right in front of you for your comparison. Right, okay, so there you go. So the contact details are the most important ones, just the last part of the housekeeping before we really continue with our agenda. So our contact details, our Twitter handle is again right in front of you if you want to look at that. And then more further news coming. Corporate rate tax in the United Kingdom is going to be increased to 25% from 2023. So basically in 2 years from next year, really, because this is 2021. There you go. So that could be rolled down or rolled off. So we'll see. But it is quite an important one to really pay attention to. Again, if we will discuss the budget briefly because it is a very, very important news today, which is coming out. In terms of a YouTube, our handles are right in front of you as well. So one important thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys is AvaTrade's unique technology, which is called Everprotect. And Everprotect is a revolutionary one-click risk management tool available on the AvaTrade web platform and Trade App Go. While Everprotect can purchase protection, with Everprotect you can purchase protection against loss for a defined period after opening a position. If the protection ends and you have an open position that is losing, AvaTrade will reimburse the loss directly into your trading accounts. The only cost is the Everprotect fee itself. Now, of course, if you wanted to know a little bit more on that, you need to get in touch with your account managers who will be able to give you a bit more information on that. Now, in terms of today's agenda, what we're going to be discussing is the importance of the US NFP, what makes the US NFP reading, what instruments to trade on the back of that, the current state of markets and analysis, defining levels and defining strategy. Right. Yes, that is correct. So someone is saying that Everprotect is not available for all assets. It is only available on few assets. We are working to provide Everprotect on more or on additional products as well. So it is something that you have to stay in touch with your account managers, and then they will tell you a bit more on that. Right. Okay. So shall we cover a bit of UK budget, because obviously that is the most important event of the day, and you guys certainly want to keep an eye on that. So we will briefly look at that, what exactly is going on with respect to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring out the major headlines in relation to over here, and then I'm going to read that. So the first one is over here: UK bond extend losses. So obviously the market is rallying higher. That's why the bonds are selling lower. And then I'm gonna really quickly scroll through something in relation to Sunak, because Rishi Sunak is the Chancellor of the Exchequer over here in the United Kingdom, and he is announcing the budget today. And based on that budget, we will see that there will be a massive moves in the currency market. So there you go. Here are some big headlines. So it was expected widely that he will increase the corporate tax rate, but one important thing which has happened over here is that corporate tax rates will rise in 2023. So and then they will go all the way to 25%. And another important is Sunak offers 5% home deposit guarantee for first-time buyers. So that means housing stocks are really going to continue to move to the upside. UK will keep reduced value-added tax rate through September. So that headline means that all the restaurants and the stocks, such as the pub stocks and the restaurant stocks, are really going to move to the upside. So Sunak will continue UK business rate holiday until June. Again, that means, the retail sector, the retail stocks are also going to continue to the upside. So that's another important one. So Sunak expect economy to return to pre-COVID GDP in next year. That is again another positive news, should have provided more upside to the FTSE 100 index. Starts budget speech, so that's when the budget really started. So that's what we've really done. One important thing is we'll increase corporate tax. We've done that. Sunak freezes threshold for paying basic and higher tax rate. So basically this means that we are going to have a higher tax for everyone. So so there is no more different tier for that. The higher rate threshold will similarly be increased next year to 50,000. So from 40,000, it is going to go to 50,000. So these are very important ones. We will, of course, deliver our promise to increase it again next year to 12,572. For 12,570, so they've also increased that limit. So meaning you will have less money if you are based in the UK, and then we will then keep it at more generous level until April 2026. So there's no explanation of that. The higher rate threshold will similarly be increased next year to £50,000, and will then also remain at that level for the same period. So now notably takes home pay will be less than it is now as a result of this policy. There you go. So exactly as we expected. So after all this stimulus support, they are going to make us pay. They're going to make us pay a lot more money. And then the money that we'll be taking home, the net money, is going to be less because government will be taking the share out of that. So, and the same over here as well. For our first step is to freeze personal tax thresholds. So again, this is all like, you are going to get less money. Does that make sense, what I have done over here? How I have read the headlines and really explained to you how that really impacts everything. Please say yes or no, otherwise I'll just quickly go through on these ones and then I'll explain it to you again. All right. Okay. So people are saying that it is making sense. There are not many questions on it. All right. Okay. So let's move on to the agenda for today and then see exactly what we are going to discuss. Right. So here it is. So let's go back on it. So importance of the U.S. non-farm payroll data. Now, this is the most important number which the US economy sees. So this tells you that how much unemployment or employment we have in the United States. And the Federal Reserve looks at this number very, very closely and makes its monetary policy decision on that. This number comes on the first Friday of every month. So on Friday next week, Friday this week at 1:30 p.m. UK time, we are going to get this number. Okay, so what makes the US NFP reading? This is quite an intriguing one. So now the first of that reading, the first preview of the meeting, we are going to get in about 4 minutes time, which is the ADP Employment Report. And that comes just on every Wednesday before the US non-farm payroll Friday. So basically every first Friday of every month, pretty much, we get the US non-farm payroll data. And then on the before that Friday, which is in 2 days, on Wednesday, we get the ADP number. The ADP number gives us clue that if the US non-farm payroll number is going to be strong or if the US non-farm payroll number is going to be weak. So we can really judge that because these are private payroll numbers. So these are numbers from the private companies and stuff. So it kind of gives us an indication or sense of a direction where we're going to see. Now, in terms of instruments, what instruments to trade? So you could trade the following instruments on the back of that. Number one, you can trade euro dollar, sterling dollar, any of the G10 currencies or any of the currency which trade against the dollar, because dollar is highly likely to move. You can trade gold, you can trade the Dow Jones, you can trade the S&P, you can trade the Nasdaq, and of course, sometimes that there are also in fact of this data across the globe. So that means in the European markets, you can trade all other indices as well. All right. And then now we are going to have a look on the instruments and on the prices, and then really see what we are talking about and then which instruments we are going to trade. I'm going to leave this screen over here for a little while because in 2 minutes time, we are going to get that number, the ADP number over here. And then what we're going to see is we're going to see big moves happening over here. So we're going to see move in sterling dollar because as you can see, sterling dollar is very much exposed to two different things. Number one is how the UK budget is still coming up. You can see, SNARK is still very much announcing all those new measures with respect to that, and those are coming. So monetary policy for Bank of England, it launches new UK infrastructure bank, new loan to finance green industrial revolution. There you go. So still a lot of things that he's still talking and the news is still coming. And that is influencing the sterling. So overall, for the last 20 minutes or so, we have not seen much move. But the move, if we are about to see, is the moment the ADP number will come, you will see massive move. And where else we will see massive moves also? We are going to see moves at the same time in gold as well, so which is trading right over here. So again, we're going to go to 15-minute time frame, and we are already seeing that gold prices are selling quite high ahead of this particular number. We're also going to see them move in Dow Jones as we've expected it before, right? So again, the Dow Jones futures are moving very sharply to the downside, and they are about to break below these important moving averages. I'll explain everything in a minute. I'm just expecting a headline over here to look at it, what the ADP number is really going to be. And quickly we can go on to Forex Factory, or you can go any of the other news sites to really get those sort of data. So we're going to go to Forex Factory for the time being, and then we will see that this number is going to be hitting that now. So there you go. The expectation was 203, and the number should have been released by now, and then the actual number is 117. So basically the number we were expecting was 203, so the number that we got is 117. So private employment number hasn't been that great. So let's see the movement in terms of here. So obviously we're seeing a recovery in terms of sterling against the dollar in term, and what about in the equity market? We are also seeing recovery happening over here as well, because now the bad news is a good news, and that is exactly what is happening over here, because traders know that if the economy is not really producing big numbers, then Federal Reserve isn't really going to tighten the monetary policy that soon, but the stance can change quickly as well. With the S&P 500 index, we are also seeing the same sort of momentum as the Dow Jones as well. Quickly have a look at gold. Gold prices have failed to bounce, and then they're still very much moving to the downside, because over here we are not seeing any buying pressure coming in at all. So exactly the same thing on Friday is going to happen over here in terms of these particular assets. Of course, the direction of the travel, the direction of the movement would be very, very different depending on the data, but this is exactly what you can do in relation to that. And this is exactly what we need to. So there you go. Some more breaking news is coming in relation to UK. So now UK introduces new visa to attract science, technology, talent. This was expected. So if you are not in the UK, so you can certainly have a look at this one and then see if you can qualify for that. And Bank of England told to make net zero emissions into account. So again, they are moving towards very much towards a zero emission, about green energy and all of that. Guys, this particular webinar has been a combination. If you guys are a bit confused, don't be confused, because what we are really doing is we are digesting live information as it comes in the market, and then we're really trying to give you the sense of that information as it comes. So we're doing two different things. We're covering the budget, and then of course we're covering the US non-farm payroll. And now we will fully switch back to this particular aspect. Now, before we do anything else, any questions, guys, so far? So, okay, Hassan, so you were asking that what does the ADP number measures? This is the private payroll. So basically it measures the private numbers. And then on Friday, I've already answered, so on Friday we are going to get the overall number for the economy, so which is going to give us a better picture of everything. So that's what pretty much the primary difference between these two numbers. All right, so okay, so now let's define the levels ahead of the UK non-farm payroll data, and then see where exactly the markets are moving and where the opportunity could be. Now, in terms of Dow Jones, we can see that the prices have moved. So first of all, we have three different moving averages, and these are the moving averages that I love to use all the time. So number one is your 50-day simple moving average, followed by that is your 100-day simple moving average, and finally your 200-day simple moving average. If you don't know how to put these moving averages, so you go over here, insert indicators, trend, and then you click on moving averages and you put them, and then from here you change the number from 50 to 100 and then to 200. Now the rule of thumb is that as long as the price continues to trade above these moving averages, we know that this upward trend is going to continue. The second important thing that we have to pay attention to is that when the price starts to break below the 50-day simple moving average, then that means that there is a weakness in the market. So the price is likely to bounce from its 100-day simple moving average, as it did right from this particular level. So it came to its 100-day simple moving average, then we saw this sharp move. So this could be where this is where the big buy orders are. So in case if the price wasn't going to stop, then the next stop could have been near the 200-day simple moving average. Just like over here, the price crossed below the 50, and then it didn't stop at the 100, but it did stop ahead of 200-day simple moving average, and then we saw a massive bounce. So on coming on Friday, going what we really need to focus on is the level that I'm about to define. So this is the support level that we'll be very much focusing on Friday. So these price levels, what you have to do, you can take a screenshot of this one. And remember, the video of this particular webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. So you can always rewatch it in case if you missed anything. So this is the level in terms of a weaker number that we'll be really focusing on. If the price breaks below the 50-day simple moving average, the chances will be that the price will move towards its next support level, which is going to be 100-day simple moving average. So this could be your next support level in terms of the Dow Jones. Now, similarly, if the number is very, very strong, then we are likely to see a new all-time high. And then under those circumstances, the price is likely to cross above these particular resistance levels, the previous highs. So once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the support zone on the chart in over here. And so we're going to change the color of the support zone into green so that we know that when we look at the chart, we know which, if it is a green, then it is a support line. If it is red, then it is we know that this is our resistance line. Now, from here, we have our support levels already defined. We definitely want the price to break, to stay above the 50-day simple moving average. Of course, a fake breakout can happen. That's why we have our support zone just below that. But if price breaks the low of this one, then this support zone needs to be moved lower, and then we'll be focusing on where the 100-day simple moving average is trading. I hope you guys are not making a note of these particular price levels, but if you are not, don't worry about it. In this video, again, will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Now, with respect to S&P 500 index, we are going to use the same approach again. So we have the 3 different moving averages. And again, if you're not sure how to put them, I can show you once again. So insert indicators, trend, moving averages, and from here you can change 50 to 100 and 200. So this is your 50, this is your 100, this is your 200. The rule of thumb, to explain again, as long as the price stays above them, we know that the upward trend is going to continue. If this price starts to break below that, then we start looking at each moving average as an area of possible support where the prices can really move to the upside. Now, just like the Dow Jones, we are going to mark our support zone over here, just below, slightly below this 50-day simple moving average. If the number is not convincing, it's not really good like the one it is today, then we will expect the market to respect this particular zone of support, like prices we could see the buying happening near the 50-day simple moving average. However, if that doesn't happen, then we are really looking at for the prices to bounce somewhere near the 100-day simple moving average. Again, the level is mentioned on the chart. However, if the number is actually quite good, then what we can expect is for the prices to move to the upside and then perhaps make new all-time highs. Now, because these are resistance levels, and then we know as a rule of thumb, what we do is we change the resistance lines to red because it helps, once again, to summarize the same thing again, it helps us to differentiate the between support and resistance level. Now we have a clear identification. If the price comes over here, we know this is our resistance zone. If the price comes over here, we know this is our support zone. Now, similarly, we are going to move into the third particular asset, which you can trade on the back of the US non-farm payroll data on Friday. And the first price action that we'll be looking at is going to be near the 100-day simple moving average, which is over here. Now, my prediction in relation to this is that the price is actually going to break below the 100-day simple moving average. Now, first of all, because this is our support zone, so we're going to change the color to green. again, to keep the methodology consistent with our previous charts. So again, we have this color in green. My prediction is because the price is already trading below the 50-day simple moving average. So the technical analysis indicates the price has violated or has failed to stay above the 50-day simple moving average, very closely, and it is failing to stay above that. So it is going to go over here. And at the same time, technical analysis also indicates the price has tested this level very not too long ago. So we could see further retracement from here towards the 200-day simple moving average, which is right over here. So this is the second area of support that we would be focusing on in terms of the Nasdaq index, right? So let me change the color of this one. Once again, I'm gonna make this one to green. So these are the areas that we'll be very much focused on. Now, of course, if on the positive side, if momentum picks up, we will be focusing on the all-time high with respect to Nasdaq, nothing less than that, because if it moves above the 50-day simple moving average and it stays above that, then there is absolutely no reason to target anything less than all-time high, because then tech stocks are really going to go towards a new all-time high. Now, does all of this make sense to you guys before I continue to move towards gold? Do you use these MAs with all time frames? That's correct. That's the one that I use, but I usually would use daily and 4-hour time frame. There is a massive divergence between price and the RSI. That is correct, Ken. The massive divergence is there between the price, and we will look at that, and I'll answer that as well. Where do I find the YouTube address? It's right at the beginning of the webinar, so you will see that. It's just AvaTrade, basically. Can you explain once more the relation between ADP and NFP and Fed monetary policy, please? We are really running towards the end of time, so maybe in the next Master Series class, we can discuss that in more detail. Right, okay. What is your take on the MA18? No, not really trade MA18 at all. So something that we had talked with someone has talked about is that we have a negative correlation in that. Now, in terms of Nasdaq, we have seen that there's a low and then there is a higher low. In terms of RSI, we have a low and we have a higher low. So this is a positive correlation because everything is moving in the positive direction. There's no negative correlation over here. Now, in terms of the S&P 500 index, we have a low and we have a higher low. So we have a low, we have a higher low. There is no negative correlation, there's positive correlation. So things are moving in tandem. There's nothing to worry about over here. So we have a low in terms of a Dow Jones, we have a higher low. So over here, what we are looking at, this particular low comes right over here, as you can see. And then this high is obviously, it comes over here. So obviously we have a low, higher low. We have a low, we have a higher low. So there's no negative correlation over here. Things are moving in tandem. So there's nothing to worry about. When things are not in tandem, for example, price has a low, and then it makes another lower low, but RSI makes a low and a higher low, then that means that this price move or that particular price move is exhausted and prices are likely to move to the upside. Right, okay, now in terms of gold prices, absolutely notorious they are. So let me just show you what do I mean by that. So prices have re-entered into our area of defined support, which we mentioned before. Now, we've also mentioned another area of support, which is right in front of you between 1666 to 1682. Now, if the number continues to come as they are on Friday, then this support zone doesn't hold, then we are really moving towards this particular area. Now, in terms of a divergence of RSI, we have a low over here, and we have another low, which is a lower low in terms of a price. But for RSI, We do not have that. So we have a divergence. And this means price can either bounce from this area of support, which is where the price is, or the price can bounce from its next area of support, which is right over here. So the gold represents a huge opportunity right now. And on going into Friday, we can also see this one as well. If this one doesn't hold, then we are really moving towards the next area of support. Well, remember that what is quite essential for everything is to having a good discipline and having a good strategy. We've discussed the current state of market and analysis. We have defined the levels and we've defined the strategies with them as well. So make sure you stick to those ones, and of course trade if anything is within your own risk profile. And once again, this webinar was purely for education purposes, and I hope it helps you to become a better trader. Recording will be available on AvaTrade's YouTube channel. And thank you so much for attending this webinar.